All right, so we had the show last week. Then we had this great Netflix deal, and we're going into Royal Rumble, and everybody's super excited. And then the Wall Street Journal drops the article that Vince McMahon has been accused of sex trafficking in a new lawsuit. The 67-page document that was filed in Connecticut court is available for you to read through. If you do, if you decide to, like, they're just, I feel, I'm surprised Wall Street Journal didn't do it, to put a trigger warning on the article. There is some heinous shit in there. There's heinous acts. There's heinous text message. There's a lot of damaging stuff in this lawsuit that does not paint Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, or anybody involved with the WWE in a good manner. And then Vince was officially released from TKO, and Endeavor. He's no longer associated with.
No, he wasn't released. He resigned.
Whatever you want to call it.
They twisted his arm to do it, but for sure, he resigned. He left. And somebody made a point, for the first time ever, there's not a McMahon involved in WWE.
Yeah, TKO notified the SEC today that he is no longer on the board of directions.
Directors.
Board of directors, excuse
me.
The
directions. Yes, the board of left, right, up and down.
This is a very difficult thing to talk about.
Are you really getting worked up, for real?
Worked up? It's it's gross, dude. Like,
no, I know it's gross, but you really haven't gotten into the nuts and bolts of it. But
no, it's gross that he.
So here's the first things that I took away from it. Jeremy McDevitt retired, about a year ago, 2 years ago? He saw some shit. He saw some shit.
When he resigned the first time, I think.
Yeah, but he's like donezo. And now Kevin Dunn resigned at the end of the year. Is it coincidence? Did Kevin Dunn really want to step away? Or were there other circumstances behind this? And then you get into the question of who knew what and when and where. Because the first thing that popped into my head was Bruce Pritchard. Did he have any knowledge of this? Well, did anybody else in the office have any knowledge of this?
According to Ronda Rousey, she thinks he does.
No, well, she said that Bruce was still going to be pulling the strings even if McMahon's gone, because Vince would be pulling him through him.
I think, to your point, I think there's a lot of people. I think the WWE is rotting from the inside. Like, this was the culture there. Like, he showed, according to these documents, he showed wrestlers, he showed tech people that set up the ring. He sent these videos to numerous people, and nobody thought that there was a problem with this. The culture in the WWE at this time, not saying now, but during these years, is rotten.
Do you think there's a chance that anything is embellished in this? Like,
yes.
Eventually we're gonna have to get Vince McMahon's text messages. Like, those are gonna be released.
They've already been released. They're in the.
No. But they'll have to go back and get. So, like, the plaintiff, she has access to what was sent to her. She knows what Vince told her. She doesn't necessarily know if Vince was really sending this stuff off, or if he was just like, I showed this to everyone and they all fucking loved it. Like, we'll find out.
You think that was like grandstanding?
It could have been. I'm not saying it is, but
no, it's not. I can't say it's not either. But here's the one thing that we know: when you file a lawsuit, Tony, you probably know this. When you're suing somebody, you make the wordage in that as defamable as possible. Like, that's what you have to do.
You have to establish at least the fact to a court that your claims are somewhat not, I wouldn't say viable, but you have to present to the court that you have a cause of action.
Right. And
it may turn out that you don't, but in your complaint, you have to show the court, like, hey, I do have a viable cause of action that may, lead to a verdict in my favor.
And I'm just speaking in the general rule of law. I'm not saying this specific one is embellished or anything. I'm just saying, as a general rule, when you file a lawsuit against somebody and you're suing somebody, you, like you said, you have to show like viable cause, and you will do what you can to embellish it. But the thing is though that Vince McMahon can't dispute is those texts exist, man. Like those things are like
Oh yeah, and
they're
but
there.
those are
He's
the
a
texts.
piece of garbage.
Oh, absolutely. And even if he did just say this stuff to her and told her like I showed X, Y, and Z this stuff, the fact is like she's got to be thinking like that this is true. I mean, she's in this emotional state.
Yes.
You know, pretty much imprisoned in her head, worrying about like, hey, I might lose my job over this. But then it also goes to like, was she consenting to any of this stuff? Did it just go too far? Like, there's so many variables to this, you know?
And
It's
so,
never easy no matter what the topic, but especially this because it's a very sensitive topic.
right. It's extremely sensitive, which is why like even like talking about it makes me like nervous. But and also saying like who knew what when is also
That's
a
the
very
big
dangerous thing to say, because what Vince McMahon is accused of doing is something that you keep really, really close to the vest, and you can fool a lot of people
Yeah.
by like, because that's what these dirtbags do. They fool everyone around you to make you think that you're just a nice guy, you're just having fun, but on the inside you're a real degenerate, depraved, vile human piece of absolute trash.
Yeah, but
So-
here's ultimately the other problem with this. Vince McMahon has got years of footage acting like a scumbag on television. He's got interviews where he talked about doing heinous shit behind his wife's back. You know what I'm saying?
Could you use that?
Of
If
course.
you're
Of
Grant,
course.
okay.
It's out there.
Yeah.
It's out. The interview he did with Playboy is notorious for showing what a dirtbag he is.
What interview was that?
Oh, years ago where he
Okay.
talked about like fooling around with women. What about the whole Rita Chattelson thing? Chattelson,
Yeah.
the referee.
Yes.
And you've got a ton of people that came forward with that, you know, that were there, that knew that she broke down, that she was upset about it.
There is, so I put this in our group chat and it's out there. I listened to Between the Sheets. It's David Bixenspan and Chris Zellner. They do Patreon bonus episodes, and last year they did a 4-part series on Titan Gate from '92. And they put it all out on free on their podcast feed. It's like 16 hours worth of content where they go deep and they pull all the stuff from Donahue and anything that's ever been filed. Like, they do a great job, and it's been they put it out last year, but now it's kind of all like you can see that there's a pattern there, and it's free. It's wherever you listen to Between the Sheets. If you're really interested in like getting a bit more, they definitely dive into Rita Chatterton, the Ring Boy scandals. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff. And the Ring Boy stuff, they were accused of sex trafficking then. Like, there's not a lot of Fortune 500 companies that have been accused of sex trafficking twice in the last 30 years. That's like a fucking huge red flag.
Yeah.
And just the whole, again, you can find the whole 67-page document. It's hard to read. There's a lot of disgusting things in there, but Vince McMahon has a history of being a scumbag. Like, there's an instance where he found out one of the people in the office, their assistant was a former Playboy centerfold, and he made her become his assistant. Like, don't forget that $3 million NDA that this lady don't want no more. We're still looking for that other $10 million in NDAs that are out there that came out the first time he resigned. Like,
Yeah, but
there's
this also came out because he promised her that he was going to pay her X amount of dollars, and he fucking stopped paying her.
Dude, this is like beyond like my like. It is just like the most disgust. Like, this guy is the most disgusting person on the. If everything that is alleged is true, he's the most disgusting human being on the planet.
I guarantee you.
I have no reason to believe that it's not true.
I guarantee you he winds up dying before this thing gets settled. I
Probably.
guarantee you. Guaranteed.
Look, John Laurinaitis is also involved in this, and he is a mega piece of shit. There's a lot of people, AJ Lee tells a story where he told her, you will never be popular because nobody wants to fuck you.
Yeah. Good guy.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, you see the past WWE superstars that are coming back. Listen, I have no love in my heart for Ryback, but the fact that Ryback says like this is only the beginning and a lot more is going to come out about the piece of shit Vince McMahon. The fact that Ryback is saying that, and to your point, Matt, imagine how many other people know about what, like, if freaking Ryback knows it, how many other people in that company freaking know it? It's just, or did know it at the time, not now, but God, it's just a fucking disaster, man.
Sorry, Milwaukee Tom jumps in. Does non-payment negate an NDA? I mean, an NDA is like any other contract. You don't live up to the terms of it, it's over. I thought I also heard that her name got leaked out on top of everything,
Yes, last year, somebody gave it to that fucking Twitter troll, Brad Shepard, and he put it out there. And he has a very questionable background in the wrestling media. And they didn't do Trips any favor at the.
Well, no, they got to ask him about it, and Triple H answered the only way he could answer. We got to focus on the positives. And they said, what are you going to do to make sure things like this don't happen? He said, everything possible. I mean, like the answer or not, that's the answer you have to give. You can't fault him for giving that answer.
Look, they could have just given him a blanket statement where he just could have.
Or he could have just been like, "Oh, the pay-per-view was great. Everything's great. Doing cocaine. Everything's
said,
great."
I can't we've heard the allegations. Like, it's just not something we can talk about. Props to John Alba and Brandon Thurston and the other two dudes that asked questions. The fucking one chode who was like, "I'm gonna ask a nicer question." Dude,
Yeah,
nobody
fuck that
gives
guy.
a fuck about the Attitude Era. This is the biggest wrestling story we'll probably see in our lifetime, and these questions have to be asked. It's the biggest wrestling company in the world.
You have to ask those questions, but you know what the answer is going to be. Triple H isn't going to sit there and delve into everything. I mean, he could have went pending litigation, whatever. But he said, look, I want to focus on the positive. We had a great show tonight, and he said, somebody asked him, what are you doing? Everything possible. We want to make sure everybody in our locker room is protected. Everybody in our company is protected. That's the only thing he could do at that point.
Didn't he also say that he didn't read the lawsuit?
Yes.
Yeah, it's possible. Maybe he's so disgusted by the thought of anything that his father-in-law did that he didn't want to read it.
Yeah.
I mean, Stephanie quit. What did Stephanie know? Maybe Triple H insulated himself because he didn't want to know.
He also had like a heart attack or something, right?
Yeah, well, But this also led to the fact that an unnamed former UFC heavyweight champion being named in the lawsuit, which is why said unnamed UFC former champion was not in the Rumble, which is why Braun Breaker, from all accounts, wound up getting that spot. And they say that spot actually, as an aside, was like, that's how it was booked for Brock to a T. Like, even down to Dominic Mysterio eliminating Braun Breaker. Dom was supposed to get that big push, yeah.
Supposed to be a match at the Elimination Chamber, Brock and Dom.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, God. No, I don't want that. No.
Yeah, but it would have been cool because then the Judgment Day could have fucked with him, you know what I'm saying?
So say, like, not to get off topic from Vince, but say, like, everything, Punk didn't get hurt, and we get Punk Rollins. Who would Gunther work at Mania? I would thought it would be Brock.
I think that was the from the reports that were put out today. It was Brock Dom at Elimination Chamber, Brock Gunther at Mania.
Gotcha. I always, I'm keep forgetting about Elimination Chamber.
You know what? Now, with Rollins being hurt, with Punk being out of the picture, I wouldn't fucking hate Gunther winning the fucking world title at Mania and just...
He's 100% getting in that role.
And just give up the IC title after he wins the world title. Do an Ultimate Warrior.
I think you, Matt, I think you have him hold both.
No, you can't. You can't.
HK, where do you land on this Vince McMahon stuff? I just want to put a bow on this before we move on. I think everyone should have an opportunity to say their piece.
True.
Yeah, it's not easy. Like when it first came out, it's shit like this that happens that like I just worked a show on Friday, You know what I mean? Like, and I'm active on the scene, and it's hard because I don't want to be lumped into like a general lump of that's what happens in professional wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that when somebody holds that type of position and this shit happens, I think that the common person can go, well, that kind of shit is what happens in professional wrestling. I can say I've never seen or taken part or anything like that, even remotely close everywhere I've ever been. But at the same time, like I hate hearing this type of stuff come out regarding something that I love so much. It absolutely sucks. And with it, if any of it is true and the evidence is pretty damning, you still have to hear the other side. You still have to see the other side of the coin. He still gets, he'll still get his chance to say his piece, which I think that is important. You know what I mean? Like I think it's important to at least hear both sides of it. The evidence is mounting and the track record is horrible. More than anything, I'm just disappointed. You know what I mean? Like I'm just really disappointed because this, and it, especially with a guy like Vince McMahon. You know what I mean? Like he has been the face of professional wrestling for so long, and this is the kind of shit that potentially has been going on his watch. It just puts professional wrestling as a whole in such a horrible light that, like, obviously if the lady was not a willing participant, that's fucking horrible. You know what I mean? Like it's just fucking horrible, and you feel for her, and you feel almost for anybody else that had to go through anything remotely close to it. And that's just like looking at it from a potential victim standpoint. My disappointment is clearly on a more selfish level because it puts something that I love so much in such a horrible light.
No, I think you nailed it on the head right there in terms of victims and how important it is to believe them and take their word as gospel until proven otherwise. Because if you don't, then it's gonna inhibit others from coming forward. And what's the most terrifying thing about it is that even though we all love professional wrestling, we all have other loves too. It happens everywhere. It's rampant. Look at the NHL hockey, Hockey Canada. Those 8 young men that were accused of raping a woman during a gala, and now they're all being taken to task now. Thank God, and and it's everywhere, and it's disgusting. It's despicable, and I think you nailed it again, HK. That it's just the victims is basically what we have to talk about instead of worrying about what happens to Vince, which is fine. He should get whatever he gets, but now we have to focus our attention on whoever the fuck he hurt, how many countless women he probably hurt. So it's brutal.
Just so you know, the Bella Twins put out a tweet a couple hours ago. We are shocked and disheartened with the recent allegations against members of the WWE. There's been a lot to process since we found out this past week, just as you all did. This is something we don't stand for or condone from anyone, no matter who they are. We want all women to feel safe and supported in the workplace and in their everyday lives. So, even though that's their stepfather. Yeah.
Is he still?
I think so.
I don't know. I thought they were on the rocks too, weren't they?
Didn't she have like brain cancer?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think she's still with us.
Right, but I think she was
Oh, you're right. Yes.
Going through, like, if you go back and look at the timeline, like all the allegations would be during the time she's dealing with.
Oh God, that's
cancer.
disgusting. I didn't know
He's
that.
a fucking piece of garbage.
Yep.
Now I might actually throw up.
One of the things I will say with this as well is that who is the head of Endeavor TKO? Is that Ari
Emanuel?
Yes. From multiple things that I've read is that he does not play with this shit.
Nope.
And he doesn't care who you are. You'll be gone. Like anything close to anything like this, and a lot of different publications have come out and I mean, I'm putting it in not as fancy words as they did, obviously, but the shit doesn't fly with him. Right. And he doesn't give a good goddamn who you are, what you've done. You're gone. And back to Matt's point initially from the rotting from the inside, he'll fix that. He's not standing for that shit. So that's a positive thing
Is
moving
there
forward.
any universe, Tony, where Triple H or Nick Khan knew about this?
Nick Khan probably not. Triple H maybe. The question is like if it's been going on that long. I mean, Triple H has been an office guy for a while now. Was he
Very long
in the
time.
office? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to know that this woman all of a sudden is an employee there, and all of a sudden she's like fast tracked to like all these, important positions in the company.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, it kind of just smells off. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And even if there was like a nefarious like relationship between the two, like he probably knew about that. Like he probably didn't know about all the
But so like if there was a relationship, right? Like Vince McMahon, like him and Linda have not been together for a long time. I mean, that's fact. And if Vince McMahon's got a lovey-dovey relationship with somebody working for him, as scummy as that seems, that's a fact. Inappropriate, yes. Illegal, no.
Well,
But
here's the
now
other
that
thing,
all
Tony.
this,
You mentioned the word illegal. Like, there's no criminal stuff going on here unless you.
well,
like,
I mean, trafficking is criminal, but
no,
this
but
isn't.
but there's no charges.
No. That you're right. This is a civil matter.
Right.
But I don't know what the
I think
statute
there
of
might be
limitations are. But,
eventually, right?
well, I mean, something could come out of it.
She
You
would
know,
have
if
to. She would have to pursue that, wouldn't she? Would she not?
Yeah, but if there's enough evidence of a crime,
The
the
law
s-
enforcement can do it themselves. Probably.
yeah, there's like this the state can come in and do that, but they would have to have some sort of, because she's the star witness, right? I mean,
Right.
like this all happened to her, and if she doesn't want to talk, you don't have a case,
And I think with the, like AJG, you're saying who knows what, and it's very possible that Triple H knew nothing of it. I mean, it's very possible. You see it all the time. Like I was talking with Justin the other day about it, and serial killers whose neighbors knew nothing about it and just thought it was the nice neighbor. So it's very possible. I think there's a lot of things that can happen that you can be so oblivious or so wrapped up into other things that it could happen right, in your next door house and you have no fucking clue.
It's just so weird. It's a weird dynamic, Matt, where like he allegedly shared these text messages with all these people, and then like no one know. Like it's so very weird. Like how like word travels very fast in like life in general. Like if you share something with somebody, it's gonna get back to like everybody. So it's such a weird spot, man. Like to find out like who actually knew what and when. It's just so bizarre, Matt.
You got to, look, you work for the WWE ring crew. You see this, like, who you gonna tell? Because then,
Ghostbusters.
you're the ring. I don't know what they're making doing, ring setup, but just in lawyer fees alone, like, you put you right in the fucking ground, right?
Yeah.
And then are you, like, it's a shitty thing to say, but people, oh, it ain't, she, in the video, she looks like she's enjoying herself. So how do I know that there's something wrong here, right? I'm sure those guys feel like shit now, but at the time, it's, the fucking boss is showing, look at this, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, wow. So it's like, it's just, it's rough. And, I'm in the, Ari what was his name?
Ari Emanuel.
I'm in his camp of no bullshit. The amount of ignorant people I dealt with on Twitter during
You got to
this.
stay off of Twitter,
Look,
bro.
No,
Stay
and I did, but there's people like, oh, it's two consensual adults having sex. Don't be a snowflake. The amount of times I sent in response to a tweet, are you fucking stupid?
Yeah. I saw you post like stupid idiot. This guy wins loser of the day.
And to that guy's credit, that guy went and read and then came back and apologized.
Okay.
And I don't have the screen name in front of me, but like, look, if you're going to be ignorant, you're looking for your clout, like, I don't need your support. I can speak for the other wizards. Like, we don't need your support. Don't fucking listen. Don't follow. If you're a fucking ignorant moron and you don't take the time to read the documents and just instantly read a headline and be like, this chick's looking for money. You need to fucking don't be such a snowflake. No, it's fucking disgusting, man. These allegations are absolutely disgusting. You have a mother, you have a girlfriend, you have a sister. There's a woman in your life, and if this happened to her, you'd be absolutely fucking appalled.
Yeah, and let's not mix it up. If it's consenting adults doing stupidity to each other and nobody's like feeling like a victim or trapped or anything like that, God bless, go do whatever you want. But this doesn't seem like that's the situation.
No.
At least it wound up not becoming not that situation according to the complaint. I will say this. If you do want to read it, it's very explicit. Please read it at your own risk. I read it because, number one, I don't really mind reading shit like this, and this even bugged me. But two, I read it from a legal perspective just because I wanted to see what was in there, and I wanted to be informed for tonight. But yeah, like we're not going to go into like anything.
No.
And if you really want to read it, I do caveat and say read it at your own risk.
So
And
Tony,
read it
can I
on
ask
your
you-
own. Like, don't read this in front of the family and shit like that,
No, this isn't story time.
Can I ask you this then, Tony, from like you reading it from a legal perspective? Is this all? I mean, is it looking as bad as we would think it would be looking for Vince McMahon, just from that legal perspective?
Well, I mean, the first thing they're going to do is probably a motion to dismiss. They're going to say everything was consensual, that things were embellished, whatnot. But I think there is enough there that they should at least be permitted to move forward with discovery.
Now, let me ask you this. The result of this, if WWE, or not WWE, if Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and I guess WWE is also named in the suit, I believe. So if they all decide to settle, would that be grounds to not make a criminal investigation? Like, if they decide, like, we don't want to go forward with this because it is a civil suit, it's not in the court of law, it's in a civil court. So can they literally just give her and I'm not saying that's her motive. She might not accept it, and she might want to have these guys face everything. Is that a possibility too, where we never see criminal charges filed against Johnny Ace and Vince?
I mean, I don't know what the statute of limitations is. I don't know if she wants to pursue, a criminal matter. That's always in question, If she does, then it's going to be a lot more investigating. Look, the easy thing to do, try to figure this out, reach a settlement, not have to go through all this. But to me, if you file a complaint like this, you got to be ready to move forward with it. You know what I'm saying?
Is.
Like,
Because
because she's clearly not at the point where she's going to buckle on this. Like,
right.
Like the nasty shit that was in this complaint already, like it's out there. It's just going to be a matter of degree at this point. She's got to be ready to go forward with it.
Yep. Good for her. And hopefully she
Which
gets...
is bad. And this is why like women are always afraid to come forward, because they know all this shit is going to come out. Now, does that mean that it's all going to be like, oh, she was violated 100% up and down? No, but even if there's stuff that she consented to, even if it's like, if it started out as a relationship and, and things happen, even that alone would be embarrassing for somebody to put out there, even if it was all consensual,
She's got moxie,
like
man.
what
She's
portion, like, but that's what I mean. Like there's got to be portions of it where she was like, everything was great and we did this and we did that.
Well, I
and
think
blah,
if
blah, blah.
you read the complaint, it seems like he kind of
Oh no, you're right.
made
He
it seem
kinda
like it was it got to the point where she thought this was normal. This was normal behavior. Like she should be doing this. She should be letting these things happen. Or like
That's a great point.
Like it's predatory behavior. Like
Yes.
you read you read the whole thing, and it's like she lost her job because she was taking care of her parents, and they died, and they lived in the same building, and he created a job for her that didn't even exist at WWE, and he started making advances towards her. Look, listen to some of these listen to the Between the Sheets stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure him and Vince have not been, or him and Linda have not been married for like fucking 30 years.
Oh no, they're married. They just haven't been together.
Yeah, they don't live together. Like
30.
Oh, yeah, going back to the steroid trial.
Really?
Oh no. Well, I mean, she was still on TV during the Attitude Era.
That
You know what I
doesn't
mean?
Yeah, but that's
No, but like,
you got to
like, you
save
would
face,
drag-
right?
yeah, but you would drag your wife. Save face. He was sucking face with Trish Stratus during that whole thing. You don't
Well,
remember?
I mean, we can make a comparison with Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett, and Karen Angle, and all that stuff too. Like
Yeah,
were
but
able
they
to
all
work
agreed to
together.
go. I mean, they kind of agreed to work. I don't know. Man. I don't know.
Maybe
It's
they did
rough.
too. It's a lot of
It's
bank, a lot of
possible.
scuttle to lose if you.
I mean,
If you
you're
add
looking at, you know, breach of the
Matt Hardy, Edge, and
NDA.
Lita.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. But how does I mean, how did I guess.
Who knows, right? Who knows? She's probably set up, you know. Who knows? Who fucking knows? It's definitely worth. The information's out there if you want to dig and find it. And again, I'll put a link in the show description to the Between the Sheets stuff. And if you have time, like there's a lot of meat on the bone.
I mean, and the other big thing is like they were traveling between states to, you know, for some of these activities, which is a big no-no.
That's federal.
Anything with sexual activity and you're crossing state lines
For
you
that
know.
sole purpose to commit that. Yep.
Yeah, and then there's other claims. There's like negligence. There's battery. You know, what else? Emotional distress, both negligent and intentional. You know, it's all your typical pleadings. But the big one is the they call it the TVPA, and I forget exactly what it stands for. But yeah, but it's like sexual activity across state lines. So.
Yep.
Yeah, the Speak Out Act. That's it.
Yeah, the
Sexual assault
Trafficking
disputes. Yeah,
Victims
it
Protection Acts.
Yeah, it defines all this stuff in the lawsuit. But yeah, I mean, it's all United States code. It's all federal stuff.
There you
So
go.
yeah,
Put a
All
bow
right.
on that bad boy.
Yeah, we covered
mean-
that. Look, it's rough. It's not an easy subject to talk about. I think we had to talk about it because we do a wrestling. I did it again.
doo.
We do a wrestling podcast, so it's important to talk about it. But there are a lot more people that are more qualified to speak about it than us. So
100%.
I highly suggest the Between the Sheets podcast. Again, it's in their regular feed. You can listen to Titan Gate, and they even put out like an hour special just talking about the news when it dropped on Thursday.